Another awkward, raw conversation. Don't go to the same places to heal that created the pain.
Right. What is going on?
All right, welcome back to the podcast.
Yes.
I'm so glad you're here.
Happy to be here.
Another awkward, raw conversation.
Oh, it'll get better.
So I'm excited because I feel like we have a bunch of new questions now that feel very honest and raw. And yeah, I'm excited. I think that this will be good. And I think we should just honestly jump in.
Yeah, we should.
So we kind of broke it up. We wanted to be a little bit more, what did you say? Sizzle?
We want it to fizzle. No, we don't want it to we want it to sizzle.
Yeah.
We don't want it to fizzle.
Yeah, and if it fizzles,
we're out.
We gotta create the sizzle again.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna hit end and start again.
So we have a few sections that we kind of want to hit on, but the main pillar is disconnect. We found that like a lot of kids or a lot of adults, young adults that were sending in questions were feeling this huge disconnect with their parents or with their mom.
Yeah.
And we got a wide range of them, so we're gonna try and hit as many as we can, but we'll just jump in with the first question. So a lot of, before I start, a lot of people I've noticed have moms who are narcissists.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess narcissism is kind of like a buzzword these days too, because I think like I can sort of be a narcissist.
Yeah, well, they say we all can have levels of it.
Yeah, and we're not doctors, so we don't know. But I would imagine that we can all have this sense of like over consuming our own life and suffering. We kind of talked about that previously too. Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's valuable to disconnect from that and maybe even like re-identify what you believe your mother is, because when we talk about our parents being narcissists or something, on some level, like the narcissism, I believe, was cultivated after even dating one, was cultivated through pain, through wounds, through heartbreak. And so something that I've found, we're just gonna start heavy, like something that I've found when you witness those people as children or at the place where they had their deepest wounds, you can see them with a sense of innocence and you know, oh, like they went through things. They weren't born narcissists. Mm-hmm. There are things that cultivated in their life that programmed them to feel as if they had to protect themselves by thinking about themselves nonstop, as well as I'm pretty sure narcissism is defined as extreme self-hatred. Mm-hmm. And so to witness them and, oh, they have these tendencies right now of being a narcissist, but it's coming from a space of deep hatred. Mm-hmm. And, you know, no matter how much pain somebody can cause you, boundaries are efficient, but understanding we're all humans in this experience and something brought them there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to live with it and abide by it and even support it. Mm-hmm. But, okay, jumping in. How to connect with a man, that too, next podcast. How to connect with a mom who continues to gaslight and make you feel invalidated. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, shoot your shot.
I'm feeling the fizzle. I'm just kidding. You must find a way to disconnect from that connection. Mm-hmm. So many young adults grow up and they're like, I've got to connect to my parents. I have to prove to my parents. I have to please my parents in some way. But the truth is that at some point, you have to stop looking outside of yourself to your parents to feel connected to anything. And you have to begin within. You have to do your own work and you have to connect to that part of you that has that hole that you're looking for them to fill. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we mentioned this on the last podcast that then you go get professional help. You don't seek this from the parent. You go and do your own work and your own studies. Parents are just people too, and they're going to have these flaws that are really there to serve you. It doesn't feel like it. When you're around somebody like that, so self-absorbed, you're like, what, are you kidding me? Like, I'm the kid. Give me what I need. But when you start looking at them from what you said, like in that light, then you really can grow and use this challenge of this relationship as a piece of you that's going to learn some really valuable lessons about yourself and your own connection to yourself. And that's the wounds to wisdom thing. That's what we're all looking for while we're here having this human experience.
I think too, Byron Katie, going to Byron Katie, who says like, do the work. And basically the whole, I believe, point of Byron Katie's work is that you realize that everything that you are judging or seeing in a certain way is a reflection of yourself. And so that's really painful to feel as if what you are seeing about a parent who does treat you poorly is actually a reflection of yourself, but it's in the sense of, I want to be validated by you. I need to validate me.
Yeah.
I need to validate that this pain is real for me. I need to validate that you weren't there. I need to validate my trauma, my big T or small t trauma. I need to validate my experience and then start from there.
Yeah.
Because if I'm seeking you in a place where you're unhealthy to validate me, it's almost like a coping mechanism of like, or a self-protection. Like we may not actually want healing though. Because we know we're going to the place that broke us. So there's that quote or whatever, where it's like, don't go to the same places to heal that created the pain.
Right.
It's like, don't go back to somebody and hope that they can heal your heart that actually broke your heart or whatever it may be. And so, yeah, I think that's a really unfortunate answer.
It is.
But it feels like
it's a total inside job. We think it's going to be, hey, narcissist mom, self-absorbed woman, please change your ways so that I feel better. It won't happen like that. I wish it could.
Yeah.
But it won't.
Yeah. Same person. So it's like a follow-up question. How to accept that I may never get a genuine relationship with my mom. And we kind of talked about this off camera, but the relationship for what it is genuine. It's genuine to the situation because she's showing up in only the way that she knows how to show up in that moment. And so it's authentic to her expression because she's operating out of the level that she's predispositioned to operate out of.
Yeah, it's as genuine as it can get.
It's almost like that's the shadow. Like that's not the shadow, that's like what's covering it. It's the Band-Aid of like, you won't show up to be genuine, but it's actually the shadow is you are being genuine. And I just don't like your genuineness in who you are right now.
Yeah.
Nobody asked this, but I would imagine most of these questions then are surrounded about like, I grew up and realized I don't really like my mother or my father. And I also recognize a lot of my traits come from her or him. And so I would imagine it creates so much anger too.
Resentment.
And grief.
Yeah.
Of, and it's probably why we feel these questions and this judgment towards our parents because we see it in ourselves. And we're still trying to process the fact that they gave me that.
Yeah. And that needs to be cleaned up. And we're supposed to be spending the rest of our lives doing cleanup on that.
Yeah.
We all are doing it, so they're not alone. And the other thing is, at some point, and I said this in the last podcast, we have to learn to mother ourselves.
Yeah.
The way we really wanted to be mothered.
How do you do that, though?
Well, that's a whole nother podcast. That's a good topic.
Yeah.
Because there's so many tools, tricks and tips that I could be sharing. But that's a process and it's a practice.
Yeah. And I'd say maybe simply it's like the challenge is mothering yourself in the moments you felt you weren't mothered. So if people feel invalidated, like going back into that experience in a safe space and in like an empowered state, I wouldn't ever do this in a disempowered state.
Right.
But going back into that experience or that memory and reconciling with yourself and stepping in a visualization or a meditation or even speaking out loud.
And now now you're talking my language. So the hypnotherapy and the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming that I do, especially children to young adults, NLP is like the bomb. It's what all the athletes use in the Olympics to get better. But when you can sit in a rested, relaxed space, maybe it's right when you woke up in the morning, that's usually a really good gap, or right as you're about ready to drift off to sleep.
Like when you're in alpha.
Yeah.
Alpha.
Get into that state. And like a movie, play that movie out, like a scene, a circumstance with that parent, and see it unfold. And then literally hit pause and then rewind, go all the way back to the beginning scene, and then play it out how you want it to play out. And because the mind is not the smartest thing.
No.
It will believe that actually happened.
Yeah.
And so if you can keep programming that, you'll deprogram the other story and you won't hold that.
Well, and your body doesn't know the difference between a memory or a experience.
Right.
And so when you're also remembering things over and over and over again, you're placing your body in the same state. And that creates chemical changes, cellular changes, and then all of a sudden you probably feel a lot more resentment for a parent or whatever experience you had because it's bubbling up on a different level. Yeah.
And then I love the spiritual part that comes in after all of that, because that's the science, that's the mind. We get that. We've studied that. It's on paper. But what I love is when you go to that place, then you leave room for God. You leave room for spirit to take over, and then solutions, they start to appear. And magic things even happen. You might get a text from your mom saying, "Hey, I was just thinking about you today. I appreciate you. I love you." You'll be like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
I mean, it changes everything when you can get into that state.
Wait, no, because that literally just happened to me.
Yeah.
Remember? So I was in a meditation, and it was a cutting cord meditation.
Yeah.
And I went into it thinking, I got to cut off people that have hurt me or something. So I'm like, okay, when I drop into the meditation, I'll know who it is. And it ended up being my dad.
Yeah.
And I love my dad to death. Love him so much.
She just wanted to release some things you were hanging on to. Well,
what the meditation was me showing up, and we had a dark-rooted cord that was connecting us, and I was cutting it, and it was like a 3-minute meditation, and tears were streaming down my face, and I was cutting it, and I was looking at my dad, and I said, I'm just cutting off the pieces of me that you don't want me to carry anymore, that are also a part of you, the generational trauma, the generational stuff that not you deserved, all of it. And we had a little string, like a little golden string that was left that kept us connected. Then I woke up opened my eyes from the meditation, and during that 3-minute meditation, when I was doing that, he had texted me and said, I love you and I'm sorry. And what's profound also is that I was just finishing a conversation with him about generational wounds. And I've always talked about my own, but I had specifically, cautiously, carefully, and lovingly brought up to him where I saw a thread. And I was like, it would be so lovely to get rid of this. Yeah. And I thought he was kind of offended. He just was quiet. And I thought, well, this could be a big fight later, or this could be, I don't know, maybe it didn't win in one ear, out the other. And then all of a sudden, Nicole texts me and she goes, oh my God, I just got this amazing text from Dad. And I'm like, oh, confirmation that, it was right on. It sunk in where it needed to, and now we carry on. Yeah, for sure. It's crazy how I think most kids, it's this double-edged thing. Most young adults, anybody, like, I think they just want the apology. I think they just want to hear that they're seen in it and validated. But I think for me, even in my healing journey, just with everybody in general, I had to validate myself first, and I had to apologize to myself first, and I had to do it without the other people. That's real forgiveness.
It's really powerful too.
And I think it sets us free, because we don't realize how much of a prison we create around us when we are waiting for people to understand something that they may not even understand in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're the one. Maybe you're the person that's going to break it off. Maybe you're the person that's going to change your generation. Maybe you're the one that's going to be able to stand with your kids and say sorry when you mess up, because you will. Maybe you will be the one that's able to shift the paradigm of your generation. But we have to be willing to do it no matter what. Not if my parent apologizes to me, not if they love me correctly, not if they say sorry, not if they finally change. I think we have to be able to stand up and say, and maybe that is parenting yourself. I'm going to parent myself in this moment and seek out resolution myself, because I know my most authentic, highest self parent would want that for me. To free myself from something that we're in a cage together, and it's just hurting both of us.
And it's giving your power away. When you're waiting for your parent to change so that you can feel better about your relationship, you literally have little pieces of your power way outside of you. And it's time to pull the power back in, have the sacred boundaries, and go, I'm going to do the inner work necessary to get that hole filled on my own. Now your power's back.
It's probably like a cheat code too, because you can look at yourself, and sometimes it's hard to be self-aware because you're in it, so you can only see so far. But like, just take a step back and go and look at your parents or your uncles or your grandparents or whatever, and witness them in their imperfection, and then ask yourself, do I do that? Where do I find myself in that? Because I bet if you didn't find yourself in any of what they were doing, you wouldn't be so angry with it. It'd be easier to forgive, because you still wouldn't be carrying it. I think the anger of our parents or anybody that's hurt us is because we're still stuck where they hurt us. Versus if we moved forward, if we forgave, if we moved on, we'd be able to step outside of it and say, well, I still have me. I've still created my life. I still work through my stuff. I'm still the person I said I was going to be. And so the people that have hurt me or put things on me, they don't weigh me down, because I've released that. Okay, question 3.
Good stuff.
How do you deal with a narcissistic, manic, bipolar mom to help her with her trauma?
You do not help her with her trauma. That's hers. That's a heavy challenge they took on there. And that gets me, because that's a lot. This is why we have so many young adults that are so anxious right now and depressed, because they think they are Atlas. They need to take on the entire world, their family issues, and they're the child. Everything we just said about mothering thyself and doing your inner work and filling the holes and all of that applies to her. But sacred boundaries have got to be made there, because it is not her role. And maybe people in the family have said, you're so good at it though. She needs you. Don't listen to them. It's a lie. You will hold yourself back. That's a stuck place right there. I mean, what is she doing with her life? Like, I want to help her bloom. Like,
it's hard when there's like a real mental illness involved, because it's like, where do you?
Because she has compassion, of course.
Cross where is the line? And I guess you have to determine that for yourself and have discernment. Because I guarantee if you're asking where the line is, it's because you've already crossed it. You've already given so much up And it's asking ourselves, are you really helping her because you want to help her? Or are you helping her because you know if you don't, the guilt will override anything that you're doing? Mm-hmm. And so are you protecting her, or are you protecting yourself from the truth?
Yeah, that's really key.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it doesn't mean you have to like turn them away and shut them out or whatever, depending on what they're doing in your life. But I think there's a huge misconception there. Mm-hmm. It's different. It's not different, but it's different because it's a real mental illness. But there's support out there for that specifically.
Yeah, and for her too, to learn how to break free from taking that on.
Yeah. But I do believe that there's a misconception where we believe we have to stay close to our family because they're our family.
Right.
But I don't know if that's always
healthy, sacred
but
boundary.
It depends.
Yeah.
Depends. And I think people might be listening like, hey, like you have a great relationship with your mom, but it wasn't always like that.
No.
And I think we worked through a lot of stuff independently first, and then we came together. And there will always be things, but I think, let's say you went down like this crazy path or something, and you went off and turned
Sounds fun.
Yeah, totally. You turned crazy lady, and you were hurting me. You right now, if you could see that happening, you'd say, I wish that my daughter would walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be strong enough to walk away.
Yeah.
And let me say this flips the other way too. Mm-hmm. I have 3 clients right now. They're all aligned with the same issues, and I'm having to help them with sacred boundaries with their young adults. Because they're doing some toxic behaviors, and they're in toxic circumstances, and they keep going back home and, I need this, I need money, I need your attention, I need your advice, I need this. And we mothers and fathers have to pay attention to that too and have sacred, healthy boundaries.
Yeah, because if you don't, it's delicate, because if you don't support them with boundaries, you enable them.
Yeah, and my goal, and this goes to one of the other questions, my goal is for you to have all your own power. Mm-hmm. I would never want you to come to me and go, oh my God, what should I do? What should I do? I'm freaking out. It's like, you'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. I believe that.
Yeah.
You're connected to your higher self and God, and you guys have a relationship.
Yeah.
And I want you to tap into that before you be tapping into me.
Yeah. And there's always, there is something within us always that can guide us. And so asking ourselves, asking that part of us, asking the mother within us, how would I show up in this situation right now if I was being my most elevated self, myself, if I loved myself? What would be the next best thing?
Yeah. So go past your parents. Don't get stuck on the labels that they have, that you've given them and they've given them themselves.
Yeah, on the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
How do you get a narcissistic mom to understand you, if possible?
Again, that is a waste of time and energy. Mm-hmm. It's a waste of your power and your time and energy.
Yeah.
And it's so complicated because usually you need pros to deal with the narcissist that's severe. Mm-hmm. That sounded severe.
Mm-hmm. This is a different person, but what are we seeking when we are asking to be understood by somebody who has proved to us over and over and over again that they are unwilling to understand? Because we're creating an expectation that will never be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And so
this is so long and complex, because between the ages of 1 and 7, in hypnotherapy anyway, this is where we make all of our belief systems. So depending on what happened to them between age 1 and 7, they set it up. And so if they became like a little people pleaser because they got rewarded for that, they went to kindergarten and even the teacher rewarded them for passing out the papers so nicely and getting all the names right. It's like we just kind of pigeonhole ourselves into these, what we think we're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And it...
As in trying to understand or be understood by a narcissist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to be understood by them. We
That's
think
true.
Because they're our parents, they should understand it. No, not if they're unhealthy.
Yeah, you actually probably don't want to be understood by somebody that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because then that means that you're on the same
it's just a
wavelength.
battle not worth going on the battlefield
for.
To
seek understanding within yourself. Like, if I wanted you to understand me, what parts of me would I be asking you to understand? Because you will never, no one will ever fully understand me.
Yeah, no.
Just like, I mean, I don't fully understand me.
Yeah.
Do you fully?
No. This is ongoing.
Yeah. I think nobody really, if we're really honest, but I don't want to like disregard the question because it's very real. Maybe there doesn't have to be understanding.
Yeah. Stop seeking approval or understanding from anything outside yourself.
Well, and
that's where the suffering is.
Maybe you can meet, maybe the relationship feels different when you stop seeking them to meet you somewhere that
they can't show up.
Yes.
And
then look at it and ask, where are the boundaries?
Yeah.
Where are the lines for myself? How do I protect myself in this? How do I mother myself?
Yeah.
And moving it that way. This was an intense one. Why did you and continue to allow me to emotionally take on the parent role?
That's just people that don't know any better. They don't have an understanding of the damage that gets caused in doing that. It is so typical, though. It's a trap. It's a trance. And any parent that's doing that had it done to them. It's child abuse in a different way. And it carries on through generations. And if you're not aware of it, you're just going to keep doing it.
And I think, too, I bet it's easy. Not easy, but I would imagine you become a mother and maybe you already knew that there was a void, or you end up realizing, oh, there must have been a void because now I have this love of a baby in my life. And so I'm going to seek my life, my accomplishments that I wanted to have, my looks, my this, my that, through the life that I created. And I think that that's really sticky. I think that it probably happens a lot more than we think. And I think it's something I may even like deal with and need to be cognizant of like, if I'm able to give my kids something that I didn't have, just like you and Dad were able to give me and Clint and Marcus things that you didn't have. I hear it all the time, like sometimes there's that love and you're so excited for them, but I would imagine it's like, damn, like I wanted that. I wanted this vacation when I was little. I wanted it to be easy. Like they don't even know how. It's like when you guys, your generation is very much like, I walked in the snow and I
for 4 miles
carried my boots and you have it so easy. But it's like, I think that comes from seeing it, witnessing like, oh, you guys have buses now and phones and like there's a disconnect, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing? You got nothing for me?
No, it's a good valid point.
Just something to think about, that I think about too. It may be hard, or it's not that it's hard. I don't know if that's the right term, but I understand it. It makes sense why I feel like some adults do have sort of resentment that they don't even know is resentment. Jealousy that they don't even know is jealousy.
Yeah, and it might be envy more than jealousy, hopefully. But also, parents will go there if they don't feel appreciated. So you buy them the car, you buy them the cell phone, and then all of a sudden they start getting resentful, envious, or whatever of your situation. It's because they just don't feel they worked their ass off to do that.
Yeah.
And their parents did not work off their asses to get that done. So here they are doing all this work. And I think that just goes back to the parent to begin with and do their own work on appreciation and feeling appreciated in the world. You can't look to your children to fill your holes.
Yeah.
That's unhealthy.
Agreed.
So you're free to do whatever you want.
Beep.
What's a healthy relationship between a mom and a daughter? Wasn't it one of the questions?
It wasn't what's a healthy relationship. It's, what do both sides out of a mother-daughter relationship really want?
To me, it's like real feminism, not the stuff that we've had in the past. But that's another podcast on my own show. To have that feminine energy, to be able to have your voice, and to be able to freely be who you are with all expressions and emotions involved. That, I think, is what we really, really want, and it is something that should be valued and nurtured. because it's hard to have safe places these days.
Yeah.
And we do need a home. You know, we need a place to land where we feel like we can say what we got to say, feel what we want to feel without, you know, and be who we're going to be without having judgment.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what that is.
Well, and I'd say for me, I think I would want the mother-daughter relationship to be, a relationship where they can feel not like your friend, but like the safety of a friend, but then the guidance of a parent. Someone who's going to have discernment and like tell you like, that's not good, that is good. Like, but give it in a way where I can make my own decisions for me.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want them to make so many decisions for me. Yeah. But I also want guidance, you know, along the way. I want open communication about, and this is for other moms, like open communication about sex and alcohol and drugs in your future. Like, I don't think, when I was in high school, I'm sure we talked about it, but like, I didn't even think about going to college. Like, I just thought, okay, like maybe I'll go for volleyball. But it wasn't something I was even really processing like the other people that I was surrounded with. I just had so much other emotions going on. But once I realized, okay, I don't want to play college volleyball, I was like, I don't even know who I am or what I'm doing, or I didn't know that there were even opportunities. So what I'm saying is more clarity, more set you up in a way where like this future,
so you have some choices.
Yeah, and like you feel overjoyed by look what you could create your life to be. Romanticize the fact that you can literally create yourself to be anybody that you want right now. I think that and then I think also it's important to see you in your role of being a coach and a leader and a hypnotherapist and an author and all of these things. Watching you step into that's powerful for me. And I think anybody having them close to you that's doing the things that they said that they would do, that is powerful. So like a light of like, oh, okay, that's where we're going. That's where I could go. That's what we could do.
In our household, I just assumed everybody's going to college. We're not even talking about it. Let's just find like your lanes, you know, what do you love? And I pushed hard on Walter Cronkite School of Writing in Phoenix. Yeah. But you didn't want to go live downtown in Phoenix at that time. And it was super expensive. We couldn't figure out how to manage it. And there's no scholarships or anything. So, but I knew you had a gift to write and connect and communicate. Yeah.
And my journey's my journey. I don't know if I would have even ended up. I think we pushed a lot of things. Yeah. I was going to play at Santa Barbara. I was not. Yeah. I was this. I was that. I don't know. I take responsibility though still for where I felt like I don't feel like I was very conscious. No. I was learning. Maybe I was disassociated even a little bit at times, but I was very like, it's crazy how different I am. It's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy.
Even your counselors were dropped the ball on a couple things. You know, it was just...
For sure. It just worked out weird.
It really did. But, I mean, you wanted to get into that one program and they're like, oh no, you can't get in here because your grades... Smart. Yeah, and I was like, what? Yeah. You guys just said this out loud. Like, what the hell?
And that's a whole other podcast. Is that lesson. When one person drops the ball, it's like... You don't realize that maybe 10 other people are dropping the ball, and then all of a sudden a kid's like doing drugs. Yeah. And they're like, oh, he's just crazy. It's like, no, like
we don't know
a bunch of you didn't play your role in their life. Yeah. That's the way it works out. Ryan Stewman made a really good point that Taylor was telling me about, and he was talking about it at Apex. And people were always like, don't sweat the small stuff. But Ryan was like, definitely sweat the small stuff. He's like, actually, you should only sweat the small stuff because the small things are the only things that you can really change. It's the big ones that you have no control over.
That's true.
And so he was like, just talking about how make sure, even in business or whatever you're doing, the small things are taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a big deal when they're not, because it's asking, where else are you slipping? Where else are you not showing up? Where else are people falling through the cracks?
Yeah.
I've never heard it. I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Hits home. What if your mother won't apologize for what she's done? I feel like we kind of went over this.
Yeah.
But
Same. I think it's going to be, first of all, pull your power back in thinking you need her to apologize for you to make you feel better. And I actually go back to that. I love the idea of the letter that you talked about in the last podcast.
Oh yeah, so the letter is you go and you write a letter to your mother or your father or whoever hurt you. And then you write everything that you wanted to say. You know that they're never going to read it, so you can free write. And then you go and you write another letter and you write it as if you were that person. Responding.
Yeah.
And
Lovingly.
And usually they're apologizing, and then you understand more. And when you seek that understanding without the expectation or validation of an outcome, you can see the truth.
Yeah. Love that. The end.
The end. Well, I was trying to think, do moms ever hold resentment towards their daughters as they age and grow?
God, I hope not.
But I'm sure. Well, it goes back to that. It's like, is it resentment or is it this like
maybe
yearning?
they didn't feel they embraced their life at that age?
Yeah.
So that's the feeling?
Yeah,
that would make sense.
They're yearning to go back or wish they would have done something differently, or like what they would do with the life that you're living right now, your child's living.
Yeah, perhaps. It's funny, I remember going to Clint's 21st birthday in that bar in Tucson.
Well, yeah.
And
was I there?
Yeah, we almost got kicked out because you weren't supposed to be there. You were too young. But anyhow, that's a whole nother story. And a bunch of his friends were there, and they were like, female and male, and they were like, you look so young. You're just, what facial stuff do you do? What kind of makeup do you wear? And how do you do that? And I found it fascinating because I'm like, they think I'm pretty, but they think it's because of products. And one was like, are you getting Botox and all this stuff? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, what is it? What is it? What are you doing? And I said, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm finally comfortable in my own skin, and I don't rely on products or injections or anything else to make me pretty. So when I stay in this aligned, authentic place, people will comment on beauty, but it's not this is much. It's the light. It's the joy I have in being with others and being in their space, and it's that's what's really pretty.
Yeah.
But people don't see that.
Yeah, well, I think it's an energy frequency.
Yeah.
I think I feel like I was called a light. I was always called a light. I mean, many people are, because I've met a lot of lights. But I think I was always called a light. And I knew when I wasn't called a light, I was going through something usually.
Dimming.
Yeah, dimming. And I always felt ugly. Like, if you see me and I'm not a light, it's because I'm going through something. Or if I'm overweight, I'm going through something.
Oh, gosh.
I got trauma that's showing up on my bones, on my muscles. And I'm carrying 20 pounds of pain, so don't fat shame me.
I need a cat call, people.
I need somebody to shake me up.
Oh, gosh. Good stuff.
Do you have anything else?
I really don't.
Great.
I think that was a good theme, and hopefully people get something out of it.
Okay, until next time.
Yeah. Yes.